Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone and welcome to your English class. In our lesson today, we will continue with the fourth unit, which is titled The Art of Advertising. Our lesson today is a reading lesson in your books, page 60 and 61. All you need for the lesson today is your books, page 60 and 61, a sheet of paper and a pen to take down your notes. Let's get started. We'll start with the homework you've got from the conversation lesson. It was to describe an unusual new gadget that you have seen or heard about. Any gadget you think that it is unusual, describe it. What are you going to tell? You will tell me about the gadget, its name, also the appearance, what does it look like, how does it work, what does it do. For me, I will tell you about a coaster, a USB coaster in here. What does it do? What is the gadget called? It is called a USB mug warmer. A mug or a cup, I will put it on the coaster, which is the base itself. Then I will attach it to my computer using a USB port. It will keep it warm. How does it look like? What does it look like? It is actually a coaster, which is the base, that keeps the coffee warm. It's only a base. What does it do? How does it work? The coaster is connected to a computer and it keeps the drink warm. It's not going to be hot, only warm. It will be warm using the power from your computer. Any other gadget or product? Describe it, something that is as simple as the coaster or the flying helicopter alarm. Okay, let's go to the lesson today, which is the reading lesson. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to read an article, use some new vocabulary, and also answer some questions on the reading text. You will read, come up with the answers for the for the questions. Here, before we start, let me ask you a question about the gadgets that you have talked about or the things that I have talked about to you. How do you usually pay for your purchase? You got something you bought. How do you usually pay? Do you pay in cash or credit? People are having multiple or many ways to pay. We pay in cash. This is the traditional way. You can pay in card, debit card, credit card. You can pay using your phone, your smartwatch, check, many ways for payment. How about you? Which one would you prefer? Cash or card? Everyone is having a preference. Some people will say, I would prefer cash. It is much more easier and I will pay what I have. I'm not going to waste my money. However, other people will say, no, for me I prefer the credit card because it is practical and I don't have to carry the cash with me. Maybe someone will take my money or will steal it. Okay, here, let's start with the reading. And here on page 60, one question. What is the title of the reading in here? Read the title, the big one on the top. What do we have? It is titled, The Word of Plastic. Notice the capital letters, the W, and also the P. How many paragraphs do we have? Count the paragraphs, the chunks that we've got. They are actually 6 paragraphs. One more question. What do the pictures show? We're having 2 pictures, one on page 60 and the other on page 61. We're having one picture for a list of, we're having many cards, and the other one is for someone who is handing a card, giving it to someone. So it's going to be about these cards. Here we have said the word of plastic. What do we mean by the word plastic? Are we speaking about the material? Plastic, cotton, glass? Here, I have sentences for plastic. I don't have any plastic. The restaurant doesn't take plastic. Then someone would ask, do you accept plastic? No, sir, cash only. So what do we mean by this plastic? Is it the material? I don't think so. It is an American word for the word credit card. They say as another word For credit card, I will use plastic because it is actually made of plastic. So the credit card is called plastic as well in American English. Okay, what words do you think when I say credit card? Any word that comes to your mind? Brainstorming. I can think of the idea of money. I can think of purchase, buy, or easy, or I would say fast. Maybe you will say plastic. Any other word that is related to credit card would work in here. Okay, now I want you to find these words. The first one, find numbers, any number, a date, number, any number. I have found myself 1950, 1952, 1949, 1962, 10, and also 1984. Because it is about the history, so we were having many dates in here. How about names? Can you find any name? Names are, a hint for you, the capital letters within the text. So we're having Frank, United States, New York, Canada, Diners Club, and Western Airlines. Notice the capital letters. Some of them are names for countries, cities, cards, airlines, or any name, and someone's name. Okay, now here we will start with the first paragraph, and I want you to circle if we're having any dates and try to answer these two questions. How is life described without credit card today? So we're speaking about today. What is credit card used for today? Not the past, we're speaking about today. Let's listen.
The world of plastic. Can you imagine a world without credit cards? Until the 1950s, a world without the use of cash was simply inconceivable. Today, an economic universe without plastic would be impractical. Whether it's for business or for leisure, the credit card is used to pay for goods and services from New York to Beijing.
So how can you describe life without credit card today? I lost my card. How can you describe my life? Actually, life is actually impractical, not practical, not easy. You have to carry your cash with you and you have to count the money before you pay. How about what is the credit card used for today? What do we use credit card for? We use credit card actually for business, leisure, for fun things, goods, services, and everywhere, from New York to Beijing, from the west to the east, everywhere we will use the credit card. So it is used for everything, everywhere. Okay, let's continue now with the second paragraph in here. Any dates? Circle the dates and find the answers for these two questions. Why was Frank McNamara embarrassed? He was shy. What happened? What did McNamara think was a silly restriction? He found something that is silly. What is it? Let's listen.
It all started in 1949 when Frank McNamara scheduled a business dinner in a New York restaurant. Before he left for the dinner, Frank changed suits. When the waiter presented the check, Frank realized that he had left his wallet in the other suit. The embarrassing situation was solved, but that night Frank asked himself, why should people be limited to spending what they are carrying in cash, instead of being able to spend what they can afford?
Okay, so here we're having the story behind credit card. We're having Frank McNamara was in a business dinner. He couldn't find his cash with him because he left it at home. So he was very embarrassed. Then that night he stayed all night thinking, that is very silly. Why do I have to carry my cash with me even though I've got it in the bank, my bank account? So here, why was Frank McNamara embarrassed? What happened to him? Because he didn't have money to pay for the business dinner. He lost it. He left it at home. What did McNamara think was a silly restriction? He stayed all night thinking about this silly thing, which is, why should people be limited? You only can spend what you are carrying in cash instead of being able to spend what they can afford. I am a rich person and I have $1 million. Do I have to carry my millions? No. He's saying that this is a silly restriction. Okay. So, on a timeline, what happened in 1949? 1949, Frank McNamara couldn't pay for the dinner because he forgot his wallet. And here is we started the history of credit card with an embarrassing situation. Let's continue in here. A year later, listen and find the answers for these 3 questions. What is first supper? There is something that is called first supper. What phrase was used in contracts to pay in cash, other than pay in cash? What did credit card represent? Representation. Let's listen now and you will find the answers.
A year later, Frank returned to the same restaurant in New York. When the check came, Frank handed the waiter a small cardboard card, a Diners Club card, and signed for the meal. This event is known in the credit card industry as the First Supper. Soon, the concept of charging it was picked up by merchants as an alternative form of payment to the use of cash. By 1952, the Diners Club card was accepted by thousands of businesses across the United States, and it became a status symbol for those who carried it.
Okay, so what is the idea of the First Supper? Supper is dinner. First Supper is the idea when the event when Frank paid for his meal with the Diners Club card in 1950. So 1 year later, Frank thought and worked on the idea, and he came and handed the same restaurant. He handed a card. It was called the Diners Club card, and this is the First Supper, the first usage of the Diners Club card. And soon, years later, it expanded all over the United States. Not only restaurants will accept them, many restaurants, hotels, and other places. So, what phrase was used in contrast to pay in cash? In the past, they will say pay in cash. Afterwards, we're having charging it. I will charge you. Swipe it, and I will charge you. Then, what did credit card represent? Now it expanded the whole country. I am having a credit card. What does it mean? It means it is a status symbol. If you are having a credit card, you are in a higher position than others who are having cash. So it is a symbol of status, a high standard. Okay, so in the timeline, a year later, not 1949, 1950, what happened? Frank returned to the same restaurant and paid with a Diners Club card. He paid the First Supper. 2 years later, 1952, Diners Club card was accepted by thousands of businesses across the United States. Still local. 1952, it's still within the United States. Let's continue with the 3rd paragraph and come up with the answer for this one. What is the man from the Diners Club? What is it? Tell me about it.
The Diners Club card soon became a cultural icon. Hollywood cashed in on the Charge It craze with the 1962 movie, The Man from the Diners Club. In it, an employee at Diners Club issues a credit card to a well-known gangster and has to get it back in order to keep his job. The Ideal Toy Corporation joined in the trend when it created a board game called the Diners Club game. The idea of the credit card quickly expanded outside the United States.
Okay, so in here we're having the Diners Club card as a cultural icon. It represents the culture, the American culture. So what do we have in here? What is the man from the Diners Club? Can you tell us about it? It's a movie actually. It is a Hollywood movie about an employee at Diners Club issues a credit card to a well-known gangster. Then, and has to get it back in order to keep his job. He gave it to a gangster, then he was trying to follow him to get the credit card back. With this movie, it became a cultural icon. Everyone knew about it. Then it expanded even though outside the United States. So, from on the timeline, we're having 1962, what happened? Hollywood produced The Man from the Diners Club, which is a movie. It became a cultural icon. Let's continue in here. Here, I want you to listen and come up with the answers for these two. How can you say that the idea of credit card quickly expanded outside the United States? What happened? What was the first airline to accept the Diners Club card? Let's listen.
The Diners Club card became the first international charge card in 1952 with franchises in Canada, France, and Cuba. In 1955, Western Airlines became the first airline to accept the Diners Club card. 10 years later, the card was accepted by every airline in the United States. Diners Club expanded its services to hotels, car rentals, and other businesses.
So now we can say that the idea of credit card expanded outside the United States, not only in the States, but outside the United States. How can you tell? What is the proof? In 1952, it became the first international charge card with franchises in Canada, France, and Cuba. What are the franchises? They are like, we will have other branches, other companies, not only in the States, they are in Canada, Cuba, and in France. This is how to tell that it expanded outside the United States. What was the first airline to accept the Diners Club card? It became in restaurants, hotels. Now the first airline, it was called the Western Airlines. Western Airlines, they accepted the Diners Club card as the first American airline to accept it. Okay, so on a timeline here, what happened in 1955? 1955, Western Airlines became the first airline to accept the Diners Club card. 10 years later, 1965, what happened? The card was accepted by every airline in the United States. So within only 10 years, every single airline accepted the Diners Club card. It is still called the Diners Club card. Now the fourth paragraph. Try to find the answer for this question. What are other credit cards that have been created? Now we're having new ones. What are they? Let's listen.
Other famous international credit cards have been created, such as American Express, Visa, and MasterCard. There are hundreds of local bank cards, department store credit cards, supermarket credit cards, and so forth around the world.
So the idea expanded. Not only hotels, not only airlines. Now we're having other credit cards. Not only the Diners Club card. So we're having many. Like what? What are the other credit cards that have been created? We have American Express, Visa, and MasterCard. We're having also local banks, department stores, also supermarkets, local banks, department stores, and we're having supermarkets and other ones. So it expanded in many businesses, not only in restaurants or airlines. Okay, here, the following paragraph number 5. What does a reward program offer? Tell me about the reward programs. What do they offer? Let's listen.
In 1984, the first Card Members Rewards program was created, aimed mostly at business travelers. It gave valuable benefits and special privileges to loyal users. Now, many reward programs offer free airline miles and discounts on hotels and other products.
So, 1984, we have the first reward program appeared. And what do we mean when I say a reward program? What does it do? A reward program, actually, it gives valuable benefits and special privileges to loyal users. I have this credit card for this supermarket and I am using it everywhere. So I am getting rewards, gifts back. They will give me rewards. Maybe it is a discount, it could be miles and airlines, it could be anything, discounts or gifts. So use my card, it became a competition between those cards. Use my card and they will give you a reward or a gift. Okay, so what happened in 1984 on the timeline? In 1984, the first card members reward program was created. So we're having the competition has started between them. Okay, let's continue in here. The last paragraph. How can you summarize the credit card story? In one sentence, we're having the summary of the credit card story. What is it? Let's listen.
Ever since a businessman forgot his cash in 1949, people have used credit cards. An entirely new business was created that revolutionized the way the world has paid for goods and services ever since.
To summarize the story, it is the concluding paragraph, so we will have a summary. They said in here, a businessman forgot his cash in 1949. Then an entirely new business was created that revolutionized the way the world has paid. So it was only one simple or one embarrassing situation, 1949. Then he thought about it, and because he is a person who he wants to make a change, now the way that we pay we revolutionized the way we completely changed it into paying in credit, paying using our phones, paying using our smartwatches. So the situation have changed our future. Okay, and here we can summarize the history of the credit card. 1949, what happened? Frank McNamara couldn't pay for dinner because he forgot his wallet. A year later, Frank returned to the same restaurant and he paid with the Diners Club card, the start of the Diners Club card. 2 years later, Diners Club card was accepted by thousands of businesses across the United States. Then, Western Airlines became the first airline to accept the Diners Club card. 1962, Hollywood produced the man from the Diners Club, a cultural icon. 10 years later, after the Western Airlines, we're having the card was accepted by every airline in the United States. 1984, we're having the first card members rewards program was created. You notice from 1949, which is the silly, embarrassing situation, until at the end we're having on the timeline the reward program competition, and everyone wants you to have their own card. Okay, in here, let's try to answer these questions. How long have credit cards been available? So you can make a simple math. Since 1950 for 71 years. So starting from the 1950s. Why was Frank McNamara embarrassed? What happened to him so he was embarrassed? You can find it in here. He didn't have enough money to pay for the business dinner. When the waiter presented his check, Frank realized that he had left his wallet in the other suit, so he forgot his money. What did McNamara think was a silly restriction? He said that was silly. He didn't like. He thought people should be able to spend what they could afford, what they have, not only what they carry in cash. The silly restriction, the embarrassing situation was solved, but that night, Frank asked himself, why should people be limited to spending what they are carrying in cash instead of being able to spend what they can afford? Two more. What phrase was used to describe the use of credit card in contrast to pay in cash? It was pay in cash, then it became charge it or charging it. Soon, the concept of charging it was picked up. It became popular by merchants as an alternative from a form of payment to the use of cash. Not cash now, charge it. What shows that the Diners Club card was becoming popular? Everyone likes it. Because Hollywood made or produced a film about it, board game called the Diners Club card was created. So, the Diners Club card soon became a cultural icon. Hollywood cashed in on the charge it craze with the movie, then we're having the board game. What did the credit card represent to people who possess it? If you have a credit card, what does it mean? It became a status symbol. They said the Diners Club card was accepted by thousands of businesses, and it became a status symbol for those who carried it. If you have it, you are much better than many others. How did the use of credit cards expand all over the world? It started for use in restaurants and then expanded to other businesses and to other countries. We started just in one restaurant in the United States. Now everywhere, every country will use it. Okay. What other payment methods do you have today other than the credit card? It's a revolution. We have changed the picture. We can pay using, you can use your phone, you can use your watch, you can use a check. We're having many other ways. And you never know what might happen in the future. What do you think the world would be like without credit card? Let's imagine the world with no credit card. Do you think it's going to be an easy one? It will be impractical, not easy, but we're going to manage without credit card. Maybe we'll use checks or cash will be a good idea. Okay, for your homework, I want you to think about an invention. We have talked about the invention of credit card, and we have put it in a timeline, 1949 until today. Think about any invention. The car would be a good example. Think about an invention that have developed over years, from the past until today. Mention when was it invented, the beginning, and how did it develop? How it developed over years until today. Think about it. Okay, I guess that is it for the lesson today, and thank you so much for your time.